Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey, and today we'll be getting into two of my favorite subjects, military mental health. My favorite because I think it's really important. There's a lot of different issues going on with the military. Dating back to, I've had Vietnam veterans on my show with the same issues we're dealing with today as far as addiction, drug abuse, suicidal ideation, and just poor leadership. A lot of different issues we'll get into today. And then one of my favorite things, fitness. I just got back probably an hour ago from my 7 mile run for the day. I've been eating a lot of cookout and fast food, and I had a nightmare about congestive heart failure. So I instantly went and ran 7 miles. Can't be slacking. So I say that because today we'll be getting into fitness. Our guest is very fit. You can see that on his Instagram, and we're gonna have a great conversation. Mr. Reid Jones, so great to have you here. And could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, brother. My name is Reid Jones. Out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps. So if you know anything about the military, we're very well acquainted with fitness, and the Marine Corps holds a pretty high standard. So I
Yeah.
got into fitness originally with that, and I got into the gym, man. And throughout my whole Marine Corps career, I was in the gym. We'll probably get deeper into this later, but I got kicked out of the Marine Corps and really had to make a turn in life, what I was going to do. So I took inventory, man, figured out the next move in life, and it was coaching. So the past 3 years, I've been coaching in person, online. Now I do mostly online, and I work with veterans and active duty, and just help them get aligned with their path, man, and work like what you said, mental health and a lot of active duty, man. They got a lot of problems, a lot of stressors going on, and having an outside source kind of keep them grounded is really beneficial.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you a question that you probably get very often, as I have also gotten it, which is why did you join? You said straight out of high school.
Yeah.
What was it outside influences? Was it just an internal choice? What kind of led into that?
I'd say a little bit of both, man. Really, like it was a lot of internal. I grew up, man. My father was an addict, so I experienced that secondhand before I did firsthand. So I didn't really have like a good father figure, man. So the military was my path to becoming a man.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I think what's funny is my 80-year-old neighbor, he went to join the Marines and they said, we're either going to make a man out of you or kill you. So he didn't return back because he said, I believe them. But it's
Oh man,
yeah, you got the recruiter that just no fluff, just straight talk. And I actually have a lot of respect for the Marines because in a day and age where a lot of the branches have dropped their fitness standards, at least during the last presidency campaign, not to be political, but from my personal experience serving during that time, we kept lowering the physical fitness standards, the other branches as well, but the Marines held that standard. So I've always had a lot of respect for them. I believe that lowering the standards to combat retention, that's what it's about. People in general, Americans, are getting lazier, dumber. And
thanks.
so to fill the retention hole, because people don't want to stay in the military, they lowered the education standards, the physical fitness standards, the grooming standards, and all to attract more people. But as I've said before, and I don't say this to personally offend those people who are joining now that the requirements are lower, but you're combating retention with lower quality candidates. What does that make the military overall? Lower quality. So I think it's really important. I remember sometimes the branches try to improve their physical fitness, and you can laugh at this too. My buddies and I were chuckling while serving because we got a newspaper article sent to us. Air Force adds 40-pound deadlift to their requirements. We were just laughing
Deadlift.
for anyone who's never done a deadlift, 40 pounds is this is just like picking up a bar. It's
It's
not
not.
even
It's not
anything.
even the bar. It's like less than a bar.
Yeah. So it's less than a standard job to be like a postman. You have to lift up to 50 pounds. So it's
Man,
ridiculous.
that's
But
right.
yeah, they changed. It went from sit-ups to planks, and then the plank went from 5 minutes down to like a minute and a half. It was from like 50. Like I remember when I was in, if a woman was 20 years old, she had to do, I believe, 17 or 18 push-ups to get perfect score. 17 or 18 push-ups. Now, the average American probably can't do five, to be honest, but most
Right.
people can do 17 or 18 is not that hard, especially you have some training ahead of time.
Right.
All that to say, the Marines have kept their standard, and I have a lot of respect for them for that, and understand the idea of becoming a man. Do you feel like the Marines did teach you properly about masculinity and manhood, or do you feel like it's a bit outdated? How did you feel about it?
Man, that's a very interesting question. It's a little bit of both, man. Like they did teach me a lot of good morale, principles, discipline, professionalism. But there was also a lot of like toxic
Yeah.
teachings too, man. Like keep pushing, kind of like the David Goggins mentality, man. Like they really shame you for going to medical or having like real problems going on, whether it's mental, physical. They really shame you for having those problems. So yeah, man, it kind of it don't translate well into the real world.
Yeah.
You're dealing with real people with real emotions, and you can't have the just push through like pain is weakness leaving the body. You know that gets you hurt, and then also like if you're projecting that on other people, man, it's not healthy.
Right. I actually I did my David Goggins parody video like 2 days ago, but we'll look past that. What's interesting is on the other end, I feel like a lot of society is becoming too sensitive. There's a balance to be had. What I will say about the military, yeah, we in the Navy we say take a hit and keep going, and there's definitely a time and place for that, but it
For
doesn't
sure.
set you up well for the civilian world because in the civilian world, I feel like you can actually take the time out because you're not on a time sensitive mission. I think the military, there's a time and place for that too, but part of it isn't even the military or the leadership's fault. I will give them the benefit of doubt in the fact that one of the issues they have to deal with is malingerers. And for those who don't know what that word is, it's people who are faking illness to get out of the service. There are a lot of those. In the nuclear program, we call them, not politely, we call them sad boys because a lot of them will fake mental illness to get out of the program. I'm sure it happens across the branches. I've heard stories of
Sure.
people who shot themselves in the foot to get out of submarine duty, right? It happens. So, to a degree, leadership kind of has to filter through that. That being said, as a submarine commander said on my show, leave that up to the professionals, not you as the division leader, platoon leader, whatever you are, by being harsh on them. Leave that to the psychologist that works for medical with the degree to actually do that analysis, right? It's kind of not your place to say one way or another. So I really respected him for saying that because it's easy to fall into that judgmental zone, but you never know. I've had some sailors I worked with who you would have never guessed they were suicidal until it was too late, or you find out. I'm sure even in the service, you heard stories of people who you wouldn't guess. I had
Oh,
Scott DeLuzio on my show. Most of the people he served with committed suicide years after they had made it out of the combat zone, which to him was
right.
the most shocking part, and to me as well. They were under enemy fire and lived, and then took their own life years later. So it's definitely an interesting topic. And then you actually mentioned suicide earlier with your father shortly after you got out of the service. Can you kind of tell us a
Right.
little bit about what led into that, especially with him being addicted, and then kind of the impact it had on you?
Yeah, man. So, like I said, growing up, man, he was an addict, man. So he was majorly an alcoholic, and alcoholics are real. It's like a depressant, man. So
Yeah.
they try to numb their pain and stuff. So he was majorly an alcoholic, and he would dabble around drugs. He would do anything. And all throughout my childhood, he was battling with it, man. And it's kind of a weird love when you have a present father, but he's not present in the sense of being a father. Like he wanted to be
Mm,
in my
yeah.
life and show the love and such, but he was always under the influence, in and out of jail, in and out of rehab, and things like that, man. It caused a lot of problems, and it caused a lot of hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted that fatherly love, and I seen the potential in them with a lot of addicts too, man. They got a lot of potential. It's just they're putting their energy in the wrong places. So like I could see the potential in them, man, and I just kept on watching him hurt himself over time. But went to the military. We was growing up. Me and my brother were growing up. Kind of got detached from him, and I think he started reflecting back on the past, man, getting on his head, looking back at all the time that was wasted and just messed up. And man, it was kind of just one of those things, like you said, just one night, man, I got a call. Actually, I woke up in the middle of the night, man. It's like that thing. You can just feel it in your soul, man. I just woke up
Mm,
3 in the morning, checked my phone. My dad had texted me, and he's like, hey, I need you here. He was kind of talking a little crazy. I couldn't really understand it, so I called his neighbor, which is my cousin. I'm like, hey man, go check on him. Well, we're on the phone. He walks outside. He's laying there in his driveway, like my cousin's driveway. So
wow.
man, so I just got kicked out of the military, man. I got a girl pregnant, man. I was kind of spiraling in a bad direction, but I got a girl pregnant soon after getting out. So, and then once I found out he killed himself, I'm like, it just hit me hard, man. Like I was rock bottom. Just got kicked out. Had a daughter on the way. I was excited for him to see my daughter and stuff.
Yeah,
and he was dead. So yeah, it hit me hard, man. Like I ain't never felt so much pain. And a part of me was like, could I have done something? Could have I have prevented this? And I was beating myself up for a while, but I don't think that's the healthy way to go about it, man.
for sure. I've had some guests on the show share stories like that too, where they were one of the last people contacted and they didn't take it seriously or didn't react to it in time. And so we've had some heartbreaking stories on here. And my father is a alcoholic as well, severe, and I describe it as people when he's really drinking. I talk about it's like trying to read hieroglyphics. I have no idea what he's saying. When he's texting, it's not even English. When he's talking on the phone, it's not even English. So I totally feel you there, and it's it's a shame. I relate to the my father is present in my life, and I'm grateful that I have a father, but in a lot of ways he's not present because I mean he's literally said to me, "Son, I love vodka more than you." I mean it's painful to hear that, and there are times where that always takes priority. If you take him out to an event or something, he's got to
Yep.
sneak off to go drink shooter airplane bottles or whatever it is. And I don't know if your dad was the kind where he
Yes.
would go to great lengths to hide it. My dad would hide it in bottom of fishing boots. I've heard stories of people, he would put it on the fence in the neighbor's yard. I've heard of people burying the bottles in backyard, like that kind of stuff. But my dad, and it sounds like your dad was maybe also functioning alcoholic, where they're
Oh, for sure.
drinking and they still have a full-time job and stuff like that. So it's difficult. I struggle with everyone else in my family has given up on him, but I still have hope. You talked about the potential, and hosting this show has really amplified that for me because I have had Vietnam veterans in their 70s become sober. I've had people who were addicted for over 30 years get sober and they're guesting on podcasts and they wrote a book and their life is together now. So I truly believe it's never too late. And I wish the addicts themselves would see that because a lot of times they make the addiction their identity, all they are worth. It can lead to in my father's case suicide, and it's hard. We can't help them fix that deep pain that they're feeling. A lot of times we think, and even their therapist or if they're talking to someone thinks that you find the issue, but they put forward a lot of surface issues. I describe it not to plagiarize Shrek, but as an onion. They got the layers that you got to break down and get to the root issue.
Got a
And
lot of
so
shields in
it's a
their
shame, yeah.
inventory.
And having transitioned out of the military into the civilian world, I can relate to it's difficult process. It's you're moving to a new place or even going back to where you were. It's not the same as when you left, of course. Any
Sure, man.
military person who's ever gone on leave understands that you go back home that first time on leave thinking everything is going to be the same and it's not. It's like you're an adult now arguing with your parents because you want to be an adult and they want you to be a kid and you just don't fall back into the same routine and when you get out you're kind of on your own. They don't
And new.
obviously you probably went through they got taps and these separation programs and it's like they give you some information. They don't really it's hard to prepare for the reality of it and then you're trying to find a job, which can be very difficult sometimes. I've
Oh,
had
yeah.
veterans, even with honorable discharges or who were in their whole contract and did great stuff, no job matches their resume. Or people just aren't saying, hey, you're like people. I feel like there's this misconception, oh, you're a veteran, you're hired. That's not how it works. I've
Definitely
seen a
not.
lot of veterans struggle. My buddy got out and he was excited, 6 years of service. He was so excited. He's had like seven different jobs already, just jumping around, can't fit in. It's hard. Just especially now, the cultural difference between military members in this society is just difficult. You get to the
That's true
civilian place,
too.
you say one wrong thing, and it's like that was common talk where I was, especially.
That was my big problem, man.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah. Tell us about it, man.
Man, oh yeah. So I got all kind. I've been in all kinds of trouble, man. When I first got out, bro, I was so used to that Marine mentality, like meet me by the tree lawn, dude. I was fighting people like crazy, and it took one bad experience for me to learn from it. But yeah, man, at my first job, I was just kind of mouthing, man, just saying, I guess you could say like cocky, reckless stuff. Because like you
Mm,
said, in the military, we do that. We have that locker room talk, man. We make like crazy dark humor jokes. And
yeah,
to me, it was just normal, it's normal conversation. But I started noticing people around me was like, they're looking at me like, what the hell? Like, this dude is insane. They literally viewed me like I'm insane for the way I was talking. And yeah, I had some problems at work, man. Actually, the dude pulled a knife out on me at my first job in the civilian world. Crazy as it sounds, dude pulled a knife out on me, and yeah, I had to leave there, man, because it was gonna be bad.
I have also had a knife pulled out on me at a civilian job, so don't feel too
Yeah,
bad.
that's
Um,
crazy. What
I can
what's
also
up with
just,
it?
yeah, I can also just, well, long story short, the waitress who was training me had been kind of seeing the guy who was the cook. They had made out at the Thanksgiving work party, and he was like, he got mad at her. He was like, "You're always spending that time with that Mr. Whiskey guy." She goes, "Yeah, I'm training him. That's my job. Like I'm teaching. He has to shadow me." And he got so jealous. And I confronted him. I said, "Hey, man, it seems like you have some kind of problem. I want you to know, like nothing's going on. Like I'm just here for the job." And he takes out a big kitchen knife and cuts his arm open. He's like, "You think we have a problem?" And I was just, and he was high too, and he was high and drunk at the job.
Had to
Cuts
be.
his arm open. I'm like, "Oh man, this is." How did this happen? Like
Yep.
I thought people in the military were always angry and hated their lives. I'm like, I went down the street to an Italian restaurant and I'm already having issues. And yeah, he tried to fight me one time because we were me and the waitress were cleaning up the tables after the restaurant closed, and he like charged out there like, "Do you like her?" And made a big scene. And my boss, who was 70, got in between us and had to take him outside. I was like, man.
Dude,
At least in the military, if someone was like super irritable, you know why. Like we were working rotating shift work, nights, holidays, like a
high
lot of stress, a
stress.
lot of pent up. I'm like, dude,
Right.
you're working a 5 hour shift cooking chicken parm. Like relax, you know.
Man, it ain't that
But
serious.
but I don't know if you felt this way too. I had a hard time adjusting to not this isn't true for all civilians, but a lot of them, especially when you're working with the younger generation, just no work ethic at all. And they would complain about like a 5 hour shift. I'm like, well, we used to work 16-hour shifts, sometimes 12-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts. It made
Two
dating
hours.
hard. People would be like, I'm tired. I have a 5 hour shift at a clothing store. I'm like, I just worked 12 hours.
Oh man, no, that's definitely a big issue. And another big issue kind of ties back into the other one we was talking about, man. I'm very verbal. I don't know how it is. Was you was Navy, right?
Yes.
Navy. So in the Marine Corps, we're pretty combative, man. Like you got to call people out. Like they call us devil dogs, man. So we'd have to like call people out and hold them accountable. Like you hold your peers accountable and stuff. So I'm at work and people are slacking. I'm like, hey man, like you're going to get your ass up. We're putting in work. We getting paid the same. You gonna put in work too. I'm not picking
Hmm.
up your slack. And it just caused a lot of like jealousy, envy type stuff because they're like, man, this dude's like reckless. That's the way they viewed it. Me, I view it as I'm just holding you accountable, man, holding the
Yeah.
stand. Like we working together. This is a team.
You try to hold people accountable and then you got an HR meeting.
Oh man, you're right.
Yeah, I feel that. So to have your father's suicide on top of all this, plus the pregnancy. Now, was this not to pry too much, but was this like a long-term girlfriend you had or a partner, or was this like first civilian girl you saw kind of deal?
We was chatting on the phone, man. I knew I was getting what do they call it? Basically the DD 214. I was waiting on my 5 day letter. It's what it was. A 5 day letter. That means you're getting out. You got to turn all your stuff in. Whatever. That's how it goes when you get the ad set for the. I got an OTH discharge. So we was chatting a little bit, man. Little late night calls, whatever. And I knew she was back home. That's where I was gonna be headed. So we linked a little bit, but I knew like the feelings wasn't there. So ultimately, it was kind of a mistake. It was just a little fun, right? And
Mm,
the Lord had a way of teaching me something out of that, man. So gave me a kid, man. Like within a month of being out, I was like so looking forward to being out, just being free. I'm like, man, I've been under the Marine Corps rules and everything for so long, man. I can't wait to be free and do my thing. And then boom, man, as soon as I get out,
yeah.
got her pregnant. So yeah, there was a lot of conflict there too, because like I said, it was like a thing where it wasn't an established relationship. The love wasn't there. It was an accident, but I was communicating like, hey, like I don't see us being in a relationship. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have the love for you. I don't want to lead you on, but I do want to be a present father. Like, that's so important to me is to be a father, and I'm not going to fail at that.
And how old is your daughter now?
She's 4.
Okay, okay. So yeah, you're
Came a
still in
long way.
the good years.
Yeah, right. Well, man, hey, I don't know. There was some rough times within that, man. Kids are tough, bro.
Yeah, yeah. It only gets worse. So you can
You got one?
prepare for this. No, no, no. I have a dog, and that's more than enough for me.
You
You
got-
know, I keep dogs are vets are expensive, but if your dog's healthy, they're pretty cheap. Because I realized yesterday my dog's been using the same. She's 3 pounds. In fact, I got her right here. So she's just a little baby, but I've had her for, well, she's 9 years old and she's had the same shampoo bottle for over half of that. And I was like, if you have a real daughter, you're gonna have like a new shampoo bottle every 2 weeks probably or something.
For
Like,
sure, bro.
but no, I've done a lot of episodes on parenting and I really want a kid soon. And so my social media feed is reflective of that. It's all kids pranking their parents or funny things that kids say when they're toddlers and stuff. And it's the baby fever is real.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm just trusting on God's timing. It's hard. A lot of women that I meet and get into a relationship with, they're like, "Well, we just want to travel first and be with you. We don't want the responsibilities of parenting." And I get that too. So we'll see how it goes. I definitely want to be that dad who's jogging with a stroller at the
Oh,
park.
that's that, man. True leader.
Yeah, yeah, because I've had some guys on the show talk about like how do we get our kids interested in fitness in the way we are without forcing it on them and making a dislike in them for it because that's how it can be sometimes with sports and instruments and stuff,
Of
pushing
course.
our passions onto our kids rather than teaching. I love running outside and doing high intensity training and stuff, and I definitely want my kids to have that passion too. So we'll see how that goes. And one thing I did want to talk about, just going more on kind of how you got out of the Marines. You talked about kind of your firsthand account with addiction. What kind of caused that to develop, and what did that look like?
Man, oh man, that's a good question, man. So it wasn't nothing crazy. So I'll go ahead and throw this on top, man. So my high school sweetheart, my girlfriend from high school, we joined the Marine Corps together. All right, so we was at boot camp together. Like we was like the perfect couple. We're gonna have an amazing life. We're gonna be Marines. We're gonna build this amazing life. Everything's gonna be so perfect. It's gonna be the greatest story
Right,
ever told.
right.
So we was in boot camp together, man. Boot camp, you get to go to church on Sundays, and obviously there's drill instructors around, but I'd be like handing her a Bible with some notes in it and stuff. So true love story, man.
Recruit to recruit contact. Oh,
Man, yeah, but we was sneaky, man. We was sneaky. But anyways, man, it wasn't much longer after that. Wait, hold up. I went too fast there. So after boot camp, we got married. All right. And then
okay.
quickly after getting married, because the military, you get the benefits. It's that
Yeah,
military
yeah.
marriage, man. We trying to get
Try to
that
get that Dear Jones letter. Oh no.
man. Oh, that what do they call it, Jody or whatever?
Oh, that's even worse. Don't say that. Don't
But
say
that's
that.
basically what ended up happening, man. That's what ended up happening. So yeah, that's where I was leading to. It wasn't 2 or 3 months after we got married, man, that she took that route. You know how it is, the women in the military, man. It's easy to spiral down into that route. You're getting all that attention from these young men, high testosterone. There's one female for 10 men. So
If
uh
you're lucky.
if you're lucky, man, so they get all the attention and stuff, you know what I'm saying? It would drive anybody crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little bit pain for me, man, because it was like my high school sweetheart, and we had all the big plans and stuff. So what happened after that, man? I hit my unit, and my corporal's like, "Oh, you're getting divorced? Hell yeah! Here's some Jim Beam. Like, we're good, we're good. Let's play some beer pong." So that's how I was welcome to the unit. Was like party, train hard, shit. So I was like, hey, you know what? This ain't too bad, man. So it was really just it was partying and traditional drinking with the military. And then as time went on, man, it's like I just kept on getting more and more reckless with it. It went from like Saturday drinking to Friday and Saturday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday.
Right.
And then it was getting to where I was drinking like 5, 6 days a week, man, and staying up till midnight, getting up 4 a.m. PT. So I was just wrapped up in that loop, man. And I don't know. It was like I was really avoiding a lot of things in my life. I was using it as avoidance, so I didn't have to face my problems. So
Right.
it was my shield for sure, man. And I don't know what it was that made me like it so much. I guess, like I said, man, just the avoidance, but it just kept on spiraling and spiraling, and it even led to when after I got kicked out, I was doing that in the civilian world, and it was hitting me harder in the civilian world because it's accepted in the military. Like I said, it's tradition. In the civilian world, man, you get hit hard. But when I was back on, when I was active duty, I got a DUI, and they sent me to I forget what they call it, the substance abuse. I think it's SARP. I think it's
DAPA
SARP,
sometimes.
something like that. Well, they sent me to the rehab over there, man. When I was in
Was it in
rehab,
Florida?
nah, it was the outpatient. So I was still on Legion. I was still going doing my job. Sometimes I
Oh,
would just
okay.
show. It would be like a 4 hour thing,
Yeah.
a
If
couple of
you're
days.
real bad, at least in the Navy, I think they got a place in Florida they send you to for like full time. But I'm sure each base has their own thing. I know for us, we
Right.
called it the DAPA, which I would believe was like Drug Alcohol Prevention Agency or something like that, you know.
Right. So yeah, man, I just got really into the alcohol and the way it made me feel. And the problem was I would act wild and reckless and violent. And I would just do everything bad, man. I was very argumentative, very ego driven. I mean, you know how it is being around alcoholics. They're obnoxious. And it's like they're really trying to prove themselves and validate themselves. So they're mad at everything.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to me, man. Led me in a lot of problems, fights, DUIs, and ultimately that's what led me into getting kicked out and even having some problems in the civilian world with it too. Until I decided, man, this is not serving me. It's time to drop this and lock in on my mission and my purpose in life. Do it the real way. Handle my
Right.
problems the real way. There's been such growth, man. Such a transformation when I just decided to stop putting my energy into things that wasn't serving me and put my energy into things that's going to build me.
For sure. And there's a couple of things I want to touch upon. First of all, I listen to Jonathan Michael Fleming. He does military cadence covers, and there's one called Hey Jody. And I'm gonna put that in the description below because it's a really funny song. He's like, Hey Jody, stay away from my home. My dad served with a Marine. Well, no. My dad was friends with a Marine who served. My dad was not a Marine. But he shared a story, my dad's friend who was a Marine, about his division he was in. They were going around the room asking like, "Why did you join?" And there was a woman there, and I kid you not, this is what she said: "I joined to be surrounded by muscular, strong men and to sleep around." And he followed that story up with everyone in division has slept with her. I've seen it happen at Nuke school. That ratio is worse. It's about one woman for every 90 guys,
Oh
give or
man,
take. It could be bad. And there was a woman, she had slept with over 80 nukes in 1 year, and she had a list of them. She kept a list, and who was naughty or nice. And she literally said, someone asked her, like, well, why don't you just get a boyfriend? Why get a boyfriend when each week I can get new purse, new shoes, dinner, and some new fill in the blank? Yeah, I won't
right.
say it, but
And
you can
that's a valid
imagine.
that's valid though. Like
So that's what happens. They get a lot of attention. In fact, I just had an interesting episode the other day about insecure female prison guards getting attention from prisoners and then bringing them drugs. That blew my mind.
I've heard that. I've actually heard that.
Yeah, so that was a awesome episode too. But when it comes to your DUI, the biggest thing that blows my mind that we kind of haven't addressed here that I don't know if the military just overlooked or not is the fact that you were underage drinking, correct? You joined right out of high school, so that's underage drinking with a DUI. I'm surprised they didn't take it more. I guess they gave you the benefit that like was that ever mentioned or brought up?
Oh, it definitely was. So they maxed me out, man. Yeah, I was 20, and what got a target on my back was the fact that I was underage, and they was like, in
Yeah,
the military, we have to know where you got it from. So I was
right.
like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm a grown man. I made a grown man decision, and it was a mistake. I messed up. I take full responsibility. I take full accountability for it. I don't want to bring nobody else down with me.
Mm,
And they was like, no, we
yeah.
don't do that. This is military. We have to know the information. And they was basically like, if you don't tell us, we're gonna make this really bad for you. And that's exactly what they did, man. Because I stood on it. I was like, I'm not bringing nobody else down with me. Like this is the Marine Corps, bro. Like, of course we're drinking and stuff, even if we are underage. Even though we do know it's the rule, but everybody does.
Well, yeah, of course, because I mean, look at it this way. I was able to operate electrical and reactor systems on a submarine before I was allowed to buy alcohol or cigarettes. I mean, it's ridiculous. And a Vietnam veteran gave a speech about why he went back to Vietnam. It was because in Vietnam I was a man, in America I was a boy. Because I came back from Vietnam, I couldn't vote, I couldn't rent a car, I couldn't get a hotel room in some places. So it I understand the mentality behind it because yes, you're not supposed to drink underage, but a lot of military guys are like, are you kidding me? We were just out in the field doing this stuff, or especially the
Right.
guys who got deployed to combat zones or the nuclear operators. Nuke school has one of the highest alcohol related incident rates out of any military base ever. So we used to have a big sign out front that said days since last alcohol incident, and it was almost always at zero. And they said if it gets to 50, y'all will get a day of liberty, the whole base. And the closest it ever got during my time there, I think, was somehow miraculously it got to like 42 or 45 and then it reset. And then we all joked that they had just reset it themselves just to not give us that free day. But yeah, it's interesting how the military almost has its own constitution and laws, right? Because
For sure, definitely does.
technically you have the right to, in the civilian world, you have the right to remain silent and you don't have to incriminate upon yourself. If I'm not a lawyer, but basic knowledge, I believe, is that. But in military, it's like, I mean, I guess you can stay silent. You're just gonna go. You're just gonna. Your life is just gonna get worse and worse because they do own you
They
and
have
control you.
full
Yeah,
control over you, man. They can
it
make your
is
life hell.
ridiculous. I've sat in on captain's mast before, and if you have a reasonable captain, it's not bad. It's like a regular judge. But if you have some of these people, like I don't, do they call it DRB in the Marines, the Disciplinary Review Board? Basically, it's just a whole bunch of chiefs screaming at you, telling you you're worthless and
Yeah,
no good. You're not even allowed to defend yourself. They literally just yell at you that you're a piece of garbage, and it's not at all like a fair trial, which is supposed to be a human right, or at least an American human right, but it is not fair at all. It's literally you're not allowed to defend yourself if you speak without being authorized to do so. Now you're gonna have to go to master court for that. So
yep.
it's a I believe it needs restructuring. Obviously, there's a reason there's a rigid accountability in the military, but it should be fair. So,
That's
and
another thing, man. They got a lot of favoritism.
yes,
Somebody could do the same crime as me and get half the punishment. There's
hmm,
a lot of favorites, and like
pick
you
and
said,
choose.
it's not fair. Not that I even cared, but since we just on that subject, it is definitely not.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen multiple people go AWOL or desert, and they all got different punishment. In fact, it's not just even the disciplinary side. When we had a command
Right.
ice cream day, we watched the Chiefs would give the women double the portion of ice cream, and me and my bro got like a fraction of the ice cream. Like women are glamorized in the military
For
just
sure.
because men are men, and when you only have a few of them on the ship, they're all trying to court them,
Yep.
including the Chiefs with their wives. There's plenty of memes online about these Chiefs when they see an E2 Latina. I won't get
Yep.
into it, but it's kind of true. I've seen it
Oh, it's
firsthand.
definitely true. Crazy.
I don't even want to bring up from my ship some of the hickey exchanges for qualifications. Bribery, bring me, what is it, a Pepsi or a Mr. Pibb and a Monster Energy drink, and I'll sign off on this qual. I've seen bribery. I've seen Blue
I've
Falcon is a
seen
term when you screw people over. I've seen a lot of that rewarded, screwing over people not in a way that saved the mission, just in a way that ruins other people's lives was rewarded. A lot of leadership likes to replace themselves with versions of themselves that hate their lives. You could be
valid.
cleaning for 4 hours, about to go home, and then Chief says, "My wife's divorcing me. We're going to clean for another 2 hours." Chief, what? I didn't tell your wife to divorce you. I would tell her to stay because I don't want to clean. So there's a lot of
Definitely seen a lot of that.
I've had episodes talking about it's hard to want to stay in when everyone around you is negativity vomiting onto you, talking about how they hate their lives and they want to get out, and they try so hard to convince you to get out. And then the people who are trying to convince you to stay in are also your bosses who treat you terribly. So it's hard to there's the retention issue is a social issue. It's the lifestyle, but specifically the leadership's impact on lifestyle. Because I've talked about you could be in the most beautiful military base in the world and have a terrible chain of command, and you're going to leave. And you could be in
Right.
a crappy place and have an amazing chain of command and re-enlist.
For
It's just
sure.
same as the civilian world. The work environment really changes whether you stay at that job or not. And it's sad that the same complaints about military leadership that were happening 50 years ago are still happening today, but I digress. What I want to get into is you talked about the turning point. You said, hey, enough of this alcohol. I mean, did the rehabilitation process of the military benefit you at all, or was it really you kind of went there, you were like, forget about this, and it was really just some kind of internal decision one day?
So they sent me, it didn't matter. They sent me, right? So, but when I was in there, I learned some things, but I also didn't want to talk because, like I
Mm,
said, the military, man, they'll shame you and they'll punish you for things that they shouldn't. So I kept quiet, man. So I didn't really use it to my advantage. I just kind of sat back and watched everybody else. But I did learn a lot of things. It made me more mindful of my patterns, my habits, and psychology related stuff with drugs, alcohol, whatever the case is. But man, no, what really made me change, and I feel like this is everybody, man. It's not knowledge. It's not somebody telling you you need to change. It's like getting hit so hard that you're at rock bottom and you're like, okay, I actually have to change now because life is so painful and it sucks so bad that if I continue like this, like it's only going one of two places in the grave or in prison.
mm.
So once you hit that point, I mean, you can continue. Some people do. Some people
Oh
don't have
yeah.
that turning point. Some people
Oh
don't
yeah.
have a turning point. But I was like, man, I'm not gonna be like my dad. I got a daughter. When I made this decision, she was already born. She was probably around 1 or 2 at the time that I decided to turn my life around. And yeah, man, I was like, this, like I said earlier, man, this isn't serving me. It's time to let it go and switch on to something constructive, something that's going to build me. So it's really just being rock bottom. I was actually sitting at my mom's house, man. I just got another DUI, so I got one in service on base, so it don't translate to the civilian world. It's not on your civilian record, but I got one in the civilian world, man. They took my license for 6 months, and I was doing pretty good. I had my own apartment, and I was like living in the city away from home because I hate my hometown. So once I got this DUI, man, I got hit pretty hard, and I couldn't handle it financially, and obviously I couldn't drive, so it's hard for me to operate and make money. So I was like, move back in with mom, and me and my mom don't have the best relationship, or we didn't at the time for sure. And she associated with me being a crazy Marine, so she didn't really want me around because she was like, "You're going to be bad for my mental health." And I was
Mm.
like, Mom, I have like no option. Like I'm down bad, and I know I'm responsible for it, but I gotta have somewhere to go. So anyway, we figured it out, man. And I was living there with my mom, but like I said, the relationship was not good. So I just hated my situation. And I remember I was sitting there drunk one night, man, bottle on my lap, and I was sitting on the couch, just sloppy drunk. And I told myself, I'm like, I'm still drunk. The pain's still here. My problem's still here. I'm still on this same bad path. Nothing's going to change unless I change. So that night, man, it's like I just got so much power and motivation. And I feel like when that hits you in life, you have to use it, man. A lot of people sleep on that moment of momentum. So I use it to my advantage, and I was like, okay, I got a game plan now. The next day, man, I literally I went and ordered me some books. I went to Walmart, got me a journal, and I'm like, I'm gonna start journaling. I'm gonna figure this out. Like I know there's a way. And basically, once I started journaling, man, I took inventory of myself. I wrote down like all my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, my assets. I basically just took full inventory. I just sat there looking at it, man, flipping pages back and forth. I was writing, and I came up with the conclusion. I was like, man, with the situation with my dad, me getting kicked out of the military. Like I've been through a lot. I understand the pain and the the habits that can lead a man down a bad path. So I was like, I feel like I could be a great coach. So I started my journey and it started off like I'm gonna transform myself. And then once I master this and overcome this hardest situation I've been through in my life, once I overcome this, I know that I can overcome anything and I can teach other people how to do the same thing. So that was my whole mission, man. And I just been riding that wave for 3 years now, man, staying aligned with that.
So are you completely alcohol free, or are you in moderation?
Yeah, moderation, man. So like the thing is, man, the way I used to drink, I couldn't control myself. So I did go, I went about 6 months, no drinking, right? And once I started back, Well, for one, my mindset was completely different, man. Once I just like started operating on my purpose, I just didn't feel like that pain and that anger no more. Like I felt like I was at peace. So once I did finally just decide to drink, it was like I was a different person, man. I could drink like a gentleman. When in the past I would act out, I'd be reckless, and it's like I just was chasing the high all night. And not everybody can do that. To be real, I was taking a risk by even going back to trying to drink. But yeah, ever since then, man, I'll drink like 2 or 3 beers, and I'm like, I don't even want it. It don't like get me fired up. It don't make me want to keep going all night. And ultimately, I think it's because I got a bigger mission, man. I got a bigger purpose, and I get way more high or drunk off of my mission than I do that, man. It's kind of just a distraction now,
For sure. Yeah, and what role has fitness played in all of this?
dude. Big, man. And I'll tell you, fitness is one thing because I've been in fitness like damn near my whole life. I grew up in sports. I was a high level athlete, man. I was always on all star teams and stuff. Marine Corps, we got to stay fit, man. And I really locked in in the right weight room when I was in the Marine Corps because I wanted to be buff. I wanted to be badass, all that stuff, little devil dog. And so I was always consistent, man. It's just, but like I would leave the gym and go grab me a 40-ounce beer and slam it down afterward. I was just wasting my gains and my work. But yeah, the big thing is when you put yourself in a position of leadership, it holds you accountable, man, because you got people looking up to you and they're waiting to see if you slip, man. They're waiting to see if you fail. So
Yeah,
to me, it actually helped hold me accountable, knowing that I was teaching people. I had people looking up to me. There's power in that, man. I believe there's a lot of power in leadership, and you've probably seen that in the military too.
100%. 100% I have. And I think that fitness is a great thing in the fact, not just physically, but of discipline, of motivation, but especially discipline if you have the right mindset. So I personally utilize a I call it a punishment mindset. I did get it from you're not so likable guy, David Goggins. I like him a lot actually. I think the principles he embodies are good, right? I think he's an extreme version and you have to tailor
Right.
it to your life personally. But there was a video he had posted about like he landed somewhere, he was checking out this gym, and I guess they didn't have treadmills, they had ellipticals. And he was like, man, I hate the elliptical. We'll just like not do it today or something. And he goes, just for that, I did double the time on the elliptical or something like that. And I was like, I really like that mindset. So when I'm at the gym, if
True.
I go to do something and I, for some reason, complain internally, like, oh, I don't want to do another set of this, or I really don't want to do this today, I actually will force myself to do double as well. And I've been,
Confront it.
yeah, and I've been trying to do stuff I don't like. So the other day I was talking with a gentleman on the show about hating the hack squat, and the next day I was like, all right, here we go. I gotta do it. And I've been keeping that mentality on my runs too. If I'm like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm feeling a little crappy today. We'll just only do 30 minutes instead of 60. I'm like, all right, well, now we're gonna do 80. So I think it's definitely know your limits and know your stuff, but it's about discipline.
I
There's a
think
lot of days I wake up, I don't want to go to the gym. I've got a gentleman I'm buddies with who's been on the show. He wakes up at like 3 a.m. every day just to go to
yeah,
the gym. Like,
yeah.
and that's what I wanted to ask you about in terms of fitness. I love to ask my fitness guests, what is your favorite workout or favorite set to do? And then what is your least favorite?
Dude, I don't even have a least favorite. Like it's gotten to the point, man. I've been so locked in with it that like I don't even have to think about going to the gym. Like that's just part of that's like brushing my teeth, bro. Like I wake up, I do my morning thing, and then I go to the gym. Like I used to, I wake up at 4:30 every day. It don't matter Saturday, Sunday. I wake up at 4:30. I get ready. I go to the gym. But I'd have to say, man, my favorite day probably be chest day, just because I like that pump, man. I like looking in the mirror. I'm like, damn,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. I know
swole.
exactly what you mean.
But yeah, my least favorite. It used to be leg day for obvious reasons, man. A lot of us hate
Don't
leg.
even say it. Every gym guy who's come on this show and I've asked that question, their answer has been leg day for least favorite.
I'm saying.
Every time.
But what made me enjoy leg day, man, was switching from that traditional training where it's like heavy barbell squat, doing the deadlifts, doing the old traditional stuff, man. Now I train for performance and like athleticism when it comes to
Mm,
leg day. So I do a lot of jumps and like stability. unilateral movements and stuff. Basically, more functional and athletic movements, man, rather than that old school stuff. Because that old school stuff just beat me down. Trying to do
Mm.
heavy weight, putting it on my spine, man.
Yeah, it's all about finding what you like. Like me personally, I don't
I
like
agree.
squatting, but weighted lunges, boy, I feel those, and I like doing. I don't know that. I guess it's a leg press, but it's the kind where you're actually on your back on the ground pushing the weights into the air. I really like that style and doing that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely. I've always loved leg day. So when I first started working out, I was only 120 pounds. I had almost no muscle mass and no bone, or I had, sorry, all bones, no muscle or fat. So arm day wasn't as good for me because that was my weakest lift. So I really loved leg day because I had always been swimming and running. So I had a
Totally get you.
higher base weight for that than my
Right.
my arms and chest. But for me, all I love to do now is arms and chest because that's what I'm chasing after of improving. Just like you said, like I want to have that nice square chest,
Swole.
like a David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
chasing after. And I just love the way my biceps feel after it. For leg day, it's so easy to get that pump feeling, that sore feeling where I'm like trying to get up the stairs into my
Bro,
apartment. I'm like, this is rough. Like, but
man.
with chest and arms, I got to push it further, and I like that. And abs have always been my strongest lift and easiest to see. And so that's what I do on my low self-esteem days. We're just gonna go do some ab work. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's the biggest thing that always gets me off track is not staying scheduled or routine with it. And I think that's an issue a lot of people have is
Oh yeah.
once you miss a day, it gets easier to miss more and more days. And your body, man, declines so fast sometimes too. It's like
Oh yeah.
I had to miss the gym for 2 weeks while traveling, only doing what I could while I was out and about. And I went back and I was like struggling. I was like, oh boy, we, but that reset was still stronger than if you never started. So I
Oh,
always
for
encourage
sure, man.
people. I heard a quote, the best time to plant an oak tree was 50 years ago. The second best time is today. So a lot of people push off working out, and I think the sooner you start, the sooner you get past this phase of I'm not strong, I'm weak, I'm out of breath to that new base standard of just doing great. And so what is what does your routine look like? Do you have like assigned days like chest day, that
Mhm.
kind of stuff that you do Monday through Sunday?
Yeah, bro. So I've switched it up a few times, but man, I like the bro split. So I just do 4 days on, 1 day off. I might take 2 days off, depending on how my body's feeling. I listen to my
Right.
body and stuff, and I'll do runs and stuff. But just strictly weight training, I usually do chest, and then I'll do back or legs, and then I'll do shoulders. So it's like chest, back, legs, shoulders, and then
Yeah.
and then rest a day or two,
In,
depending.
in fact, shoulder press is actually my weakest lift for some reason. Not the Arnold. That's fine, but like the actual machine, for some reason, I just feel that. So whatever hurts the most is what I try to work on the most. And yeah, I think it's great. And so you talked about coaching. Tell us a little bit more about that, both for fitness and mental health.
Yeah, man. So with my clients, dude, it's mental, physical, it's finances, it's relationships, because it all ties into one, man. Like I can set
Right.
you up a workout plan, but if you can't even get your damn clothes clean, you're not going to wake up and go to the gym because you're not organized. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If I set you up the workout plan, but you and your girlfriend's arguing all the time, you can't set boundaries and make time for yourself, you're not gonna be able to get in the gym. So there's a lot of things that ties in. That's why people always say it's not just lifting, it's a lifestyle. So there's a lot of factors that go in, man. And I really invest into people's growth process because I completely understand, man, that it's not just the program. Anybody, like, you can go and chat GPT, hey, give me a split, give me a workout split. Cool. Well, why can't we apply it, man? You know what I'm saying? It's not a knowledge issue, it's an application issue. And
Mm,
you gotta be well rounded, bro. You gotta be organized, meals on point, relationships on point, finances on point, or you're not gonna be consistent in the gym.
yeah. 100%. And so how can people contact you to work with you?
My Instagram, so it's Reid Jones fitness. Get on my Instagram. I'm posting every day on my story, on my page. A lot of motivation. I talk a lot of military stuff, and I even spotlight some of my clients. I work with some active duty and some veterans, and we get after it every day. We do weekly calls, twice a week. We do calls. We get together as a team. We huddle up, come up with a game plan, and we execute, man.
Yeah, and sometimes you post Happy Friday on a Thursday. It's
Like this
good stuff
morning.
out there. Yeah,
That's
I was
just today.
yeah, but I was gonna say that's Reid REID for everyone listening, and we're gonna have the link in the description below, so you don't have to memorize that. But yeah, and what would be your big takeaway you want for everyone, kind of tying everything together, just kind of about lifestyle advice mostly.
Yeah, so turn your pain, man, turn your challenges into momentum, man. It's energy. What's the quote there? Energy remains constant. So like people that are addicts or just have a lot of issues, all that is energy. You have to channel that in the right places. If every time you pick up a beer, you was to pick up a weight, imagine the gains you'd get. Or every time you hit some drugs, you decided to read a book or go hug your family, you would have you would have crazy, massive benefits in your life.
100%.
So channel all the energy into constructive habits, and man, your life's gonna change. You're gonna grow.
100%. I appreciate you saying that. And so thank you for taking the time today to guest on the show. I appreciate what you've said and we'll connect in the future for sure. So thank you again, man.
Hey, thank you, brother. Have a good one, man.